Dribble.
And welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit. Here joining me once again is Mr. Liam Hancock.
What's going on, guys? Lee here.
Mr. Ro Hancock.
How we going, Nick?
And we are absolutely thrilled to have a couple of guests joining us today. Guys, Matt and Locke, the lads from the Fifth and Dribble podcast. Boys, welcome to the Daily Dribble.
Thank you for having us. I'm just over here jamming to that intro.
Thanks, boys. It is a good song. Every time I listen to the pod, I'm like, get into it. It's good.
It's a bit of a beat, isn't it, mate?
Version.
We
Yes,
need it
the
on
juice
a
is
like this
flowing.
morning. We need it. Absolutely. Get the juices flowing. So we're stoked to have you guys on. As we said, just prior to coming on, it has been a little while in the works. So it's awesome that it's finally come to life, and here you guys are. What's been happening, fellas? You enjoying the NBA, the NBL?
You look very much enjoying the NBL.
It's hard not to. I think.
It's hard being a champion up here in Sydney.
Oh, mate, rub it in even more.
Someone's got to do it,
Yeah, well,
and to see it live as well. Stop it.
The dirty
Forget
work needed to
about
be
it.
done.
Mate,
have to
we
be done.
were absolutely heartbroken all this week. For any of our new listeners and for guys who aren't familiar with the guys from the Fifth and Dribble from Sydney, so Sydney Kings fans through and through, it has been an absolutely phenomenal week. You guys getting that 3-0 sweep over our Tassie JackJumpers. It was a bitter pill to swallow this week, going to work and just the head hung low.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick.
But how was that atmosphere for Game 3? What was it like there in the building?
Game 3 was crazy. Like, we've been to a few games this year that have had packed crowds, and this was by far the biggest. Like, it was the largest NBL grand final crowd ever, 16,000.
50, wasn't it?
And it was soon as it was down the stretch where the game was out of reach, man. Everyone was on their feet, cheering, clapping. It was crazy.
I tell you what, we'll get into it soon, but on a Wednesday night as well, to get that many people and get a record crowd, it really says a lot about where the NBL is at in this country. So I thought, on a Wednesday night, you wouldn't blame people for thinking, nah, geez, we might just watch it at home tonight.
I'll tell you what, Wednesday for me, it was tough because you know what it's like. You go to sporting events, you want to have a few beverages, you want to enjoy yourself.
Be rude not to.
Absolutely.
And work was the next day. And Locke and I kept looking at each other. We were leaving, and it was raining, and the bar was still open, and we were like, "Oh, let's do it." Oh, nah, work tomorrow. Yeah,
No, we're responsible adults for once in our life. That felt strange, but
It did feel strange.
it was great seeing everyone.
The good news with that is you might have held off on the beverages that night, but due to what has now become the second time in building a bit of a pattern, I was very reluctant to send over another carton. But, what is the beverage of choice in our wager for that one? What beverage are you guys going to be sinking with the winnings from that one?
Surely Great Northerns.
I think Great Northerns again. That's normally the beer of choice for us on the pod, so I think we'll have to jump on that.
It will be very, very good.
What's the beer of choice down in
donate,
Tassie?
Jeez, what's ours?
Ours
isn't a beer.
Look, I think we're all a bit over the place. We were talking about this last week, weren't we? Lee's sort of the high end stuff. I would have thought.
No.
Yeah.
Roast it up.
Just embrace it. If you're a beer,
I'm not high end. No, give me double blacks or 196s, but Nick's on the fat lambs, aren't you?
No, I've become a cider guy. I'm really enjoying the ciders lately. Although I went out last night and had a couple of beers, so I've started to build my
maturity,
my beer maturity up a little bit, becoming a real man, which is good.
Turn into a beer man. We love it, Nick.
Getting hairs on my chest finally. It's a nice feeling.
Is that what I got to start drinking more beer then? Because I got none on mine.
Yeah.
He looks like a seal with his shirt off. Yeah,
a Navy SEAL because of the
Yes, that's what it
only
means.
reason.
That's what it means.
sure. Of course, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So, fellas, on that game, it was just like we were watching it here going off 97-88. Xavier Cooks was absolutely massive in that game 3. What we found, we found quite an amusing stat the other night. We were out at dinner. It was Thursday night, and we saw the stat that across the 3 games, the JackJumpers actually led the series, but ended up going down in a sweep. So it kind of just begs how, even though not in a 3-0 scoreline, how close the series was. And especially in game 2 and 3, we were at game 2 in Hobart here, and going into the fourth quarter, we were like, oh, boys, look out. We are on here. Even Wednesday night, down a couple of men, we were like, going into the fourth, look out, here we go. But, that Kings team is just loaded with talent. So for you guys, who were the standout players for the Kings this season for you guys in mind?
Well, I mean, you can't go past the MVP. Mr.
Bowler.
Jamin Adams. He was massive, but obviously he was missing the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. I think you saw great leaps and bounds from dudes like Jarrell Martin and X-Man. Like X-Man, obviously, he deserved that second All NBL team. And that fourth quarter, I don't know about you, Locke, but I was bricked up for Ian Clark and those
Ian Clark. I thought Ian Clark was going to be
Clark.
a detriment after that first half in Game 3, but he just didn't miss in the fourth quarter. It was insane. It was crazy.
The only person making better shots than Ian Clark was your boy Josh Adams. Like he was insane.
I tell you what, like talk about taking the piss. Joshy Adams, I've never seen someone chuck up the type of shots that he chucks up. It's just it's hilarious viewing, but when they go down, you sort of think, oh, he meant that. He meant that for sure.
He took the air out of the building 12 times.
So many times. Fucking hell. I tell you, you could hear a pin drop many times. He's got that like Trey Young kind of ability about him. He's a very no yes guy, and it's like, no, what? Yes, nice.
100%. And that's the way we feel with Mikhail McIntosh as well. Like, it's shit, what are you doing? What are you doing? Settle down. And then, you ripper. Well done.
Good move.
Well done.
Lovely.
But it was an awesome series. And just like, I'm not sure about you guys. I know I've really been into the NBL the last couple of years. Roy's got involved more so this year.
The Jackies,
and Lee's starting to come into it more. But like the league,
jump on the bandwagon. Don't worry.
Do what you got to do.
It's in just such a good place at the minute. The league, like it is, like compared to I love AFL, we love A League, love NRL, love all the sports, but the NBL is really like asserting itself as one of the top tier leagues in basketball in the world. Like what for you guys and going to games in person has stood out to you most about? Is it the atmosphere, the level of play? What stood out to you fellas at the games?
So many kids. So many young kids. Like normally games when we were younger,
super
it did sound. That sounded.
Let's
let me
rephrase
rephrase.
The shit out of that. Hold on.
Some bleeps in that.
Hold on.
Just like back in the day, it used to just be like older guys in their like late 20s and 30s there for a couple of beers and to have a laugh and watch some basketball. But it's like there are now young kids there who are growing up and like they've been lifelong fans of NBL teams.
Yep.
And it's like I always like seeing when we played the Hawks just before the end of the regular season, there's always so many people in Hawks jerseys. Yeah. And it's like they're from Illawarra, they live in Sydney, but they still rep the Hawks, still get out to games. And it's like it's really building a nice community now.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. It's the same here down in Tassie. Is it for you same in mind there, Matty, as well?
Yeah, same in mind. Like it's good to see. I'm not going to say it's good to see a bunch of little kids because that's just sus, Lachlan. But no, it's good to see just like the atmosphere as a whole. As Locke said, it's no longer just like the businessmen like getting in after and they're just like, oh, what are we going to do on this random Tuesday night? Oh, let's just go have a couple beers and watch the league or whatever. But it's good. People actually make the effort. I'll tell you what, I don't know what the parking situation is like in Tassie, but trying to get out of Sydney Olympic Park after a fucking Kings game
with 15,000 other people is
bro, it is a nightmare. I went
did you drive
the school that I'm
we
decided not to. The school that I'm at, another one of the teachers, they went and they parked on the top roof of like a 9-story parking complex that holds all 15,000 cars. And she was like, I didn't get home before midnight because I was just stuck because it comes down in this spiral ramp and she's just like, I didn't move. I just did not move. So that was tough.
What an atrocious decision.
Yeah. We're pretty lucky here, aren't we? Like we're lucky that the arena only holds 5,000, which is awesome because the atmosphere is electric. But the parking situation as well, like we haven't really had any troubles whatsoever getting out, which is nice because there's nothing that triggers me more than sitting in traffic.
Yeah,
like my anger
after a loss as well. You're just filthy. You're sitting in the car, just wanting to go home.
They're already hurting Lachlan. You don't have to blood in.
I had to slip one more in.
That game too was the quietest car ride home. Like it was just, I wasn't even sad. It was just numb.
It was just no feeling. And, we all had the tears welling up in the eyes and looking out the window like we were the main character on a movie. It was just an awful feeling. But it's funny though with the NBL, isn't it? Because I like what you were saying about, it being a time filler in previous years for people who weren't necessarily invested in the sport itself, but thought, oh, okay, we got to spare a few hours, let's go watch the NBL. Yeah. These days, people, I mean, it'd be the same up there, obviously, but particularly down here in Tassie with the new team, people are as invested in this team as any team or any sporting league in Australia, I reckon.
It's taken over the whole state.
It has. And, I'd highly implore you blokes to come down just for one game to the MyState Bank Arena. You'll see how invested Tasmanians are towards the NBL. And, given it's the first season, I'm really intrigued to see, I guess, what this can come to in the next few years, in the next decade. Just say it could be, up there with the AFL down here as one of the biggest sporting leagues. You just never know, but it's taken leaps and bounds over the last few years.
Well, if we keep betting, boys, we might have to put together like a flight account, and then
I actually don't mind this.
You guys just end up paying for our tickets to come down there.
I'll pay for it single-handedly at this point. I've just got you guys on an absolute retainer at the moment, don't I?
Yeah, we'll fly business class. It'll be great.
How long is the flight down to Tassie? How long is the flight, Tassie? 2 hours? 2.5?
About 2 hours from Sydney.
2 hours. Yeah. That's enough time to get a couple of beers in on the flight.
Oh, we'll make sure to. Don't worry.
If we have to, you're twisting my arm right now. Sure. I'll get it sorted.
I was gonna ask. In Tassie, is everyone out there wearing the jerseys, wearing the merch, talking about it? After a big game, is it kind of what everyone's talking about?
You can probably speak to this, Nick, because obviously you work at Intersport, so you've seen the amount of Tassie JackJumpers clothing that's been sold. So
that's my absolute highlight. It's on a daily basis, multiple times a day. I love just interjecting in conversations with people because that's all anyone wants to talk about, basketball at the minute. And it's especially during the last week or two while the finals has been going on, it's just been going bananas. Jerseys are everywhere. Everyone buildings lit up green.
Yep.
The kind of big bridge you have as you come over into Hobart lit up green. It's incredible the way in one season it's captivated the entire state. And, the only concerning thing is now, sometimes Tassie fans are pretty fickle. With the BBL, with the Hurricanes, everyone was on board from the start and it was, 15,000 packed out, same kind of energy. And now it's starting to dwindle a little bit. So we're just hoping, after the success this season that it doesn't kind of, fall short next season and people are detracted, but I think we're lucky the way these boys have been getting out in schools and the community. They've really built a positive, really strong foundations going forward.
Well, you don't have the son of Tasmanian cricket leaving you after 2 seasons, so
exactly.
I think you'll be okay.
Exactly right. Well, we're looking forward to it. They're really good guys as well. I went out a couple of weeks ago and had a couple of beers, and for any Tasmanians, the best kind of watering hole down here is the Hanging Garden. It's kind of like an outside bar. It's a wicked spot, and I was pretty cooked. And my eyes lit up. The whole JackJumpers team walked in, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Thought you were dreaming, that.
Mate, look out here. We are on here. So I ended up getting in a conversation. Will Magnay and Jock Perry. And I'm standing next to either side of me and I'm looking up at him like this. I'm 10 foot tall.
The thing is, you don't fanboy. You switch to network mode.
Oh, you got a straight businessman mode.
I appreciate that.
That needs to be done.
Mate,
that's all us as well. Now you know what it's like to talk to Lachlan first and foremost. That bastard, I get a sore neck if I hang out with him. But straight into network mode, boys. Hey, we run a podcast. Come on here.
We do have it teed up. Hopefully in the next week or two. I need to just reach out, but we should have Will Magnay coming on, which is awesome. He's NBA experience, NBL talent there with Perth coming over here. Seeing him kind of miss out for most of the season there, we're really anticipating his kind of fold back into the team after signing that 3-year contract extension. But for you guys, just in mind, your 3 best players in the NBL at the moment, who have you got? Because we've spoken pretty extensively on here about the talent the league has. Who do you guys have in your top 3?
2 guys probably speak for themselves in the MVP and then Bryce Cotton as well.
Absolutely.
I think those 2 are probably 1A and 1B.
Yep.
With the MVP being 1A, surely. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I think the third player then is kind of your personal preference.
It is.
I like your Adams as well. I
Yeah.
think though on his night, I think he can go toe to toe with anybody in the NBL, and I think those kind of undersized guards make the NBL exciting.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
I agree.
I know everyone would rather watch those guys go off for 3 and contested shots rather than a big man, little, like, you know, fake and layup.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
those guys have really got the backbone of the NBL behind them.
Yeah, no, we kind of think similar in mind. That 1A, 1B and Adams and Cotton, like what Bryce Cotton's done over the last couple of years is almost single-handedly elevated the game to different levels. You know, he's phenomenal. And likewise, we think that probably with the third, it is a personal preference kind of thing.
I mean, for us though, we've probably got to put friend of the show in.
Yeah.
Vic Law.
We love Vic
I
Law.
think
Yeah.
Vic probably has to take that third spot for us. He's on another level, that bloke. But you're spot on. Like, there's probably about 5 or 6 guys who could probably slot into that third spot.
And
But
it
it
was
just
just looking at the all NBL teams, wasn't it? Looking at the names, even who missed out and seeing, wow, there are some bowlers in here.
isn't it? I was just about to mention that. It's so crazy how much NBA quality talent is in the NBL at the moment. And for some reason, you still get the feeling, I guess, outside of Australia, that the league's been slept on. It's insane.
Yeah, I think I mean, we're kind of a victim of our geographical location. Like, we just kind of get forgotten about at the bottom of the world here. So,
Mate, you're talking to
the more and
Tasmanians.
more-
We know how you
well, yeah. sorry, we're less bottom than you, but that's okay.
You guys are falling off.
Taking a guy while it's down at the minute, aren't you?
Look, got to do what we got to do.
I'm sure
When
if
you're
it
on the
was
top, you
returned,
gotta-
we would take our licks.
yeah, we will take our leaks. But yeah, I think that's what really leads into it. I mean, lots of people obviously hold like the Euro League in really high regard, and you've got a lot of NBA talent over there that's come from there and that's going back. Like, shout out to our boy Dante Exum. But it's with more and more exposure and more guys like LaMelo coming over and even dudes to like a degree like Dyson Daniels tearing it up in the G League affiliate and stuff like that. It's like, it just gives fantastic exposure for us down here. And if people want to come down and make 150K between college and going to the NBA, then sweet, we'll buy tickets. We'll go and see it. So, so all those college prospects listening, feel free, come down. It's beautiful weather all year round.
I tell you what, if Bronny James is listening, we've got a perfect team for
you
you.
guys were the team. That was the big rumor. You guys were the only kind of team that had the capabilities of actually getting him involved.
That's because Daddy likes our colours. That's why.
Yeah.
Purple and gold. But that's fine.
We'll just confuse them,
Down courtside, hanging out with your boys.
Okay. If Bronny James does come down, Lachlan, you and I, courtside. Game one.
Every game.
That's happening.
Every game. That's big baller energy from you, Lock. Got deep pockets there, my friend.
I don't know about that deep. Maybe we have to
got big
sneak in
jeans.
somewhere.
There you go.
You are not sneaking in any unless we put a jersey on you. You might be confused for a player.
Have you seen that's like the guy that was with on the New Orleans bench and was in the
Yeah,
warm-ups?
yeah.
Did you guys see that? This is like last
corner.
season, and he just
Yeah.
jumped up during warm-ups, putting up some shots, getting stretches in.
I've seen you
No, we have
shoot.
to
I've
try
seen you
that.
shoot. It won't happen. They'll
Probably
know that
as
you're
good
in the
as us.
NBL.
No. I just set screens and they won't know.
Yeah, no, they'll know then. They'll know then.
Well, there's one more name I wanted to mention before we move ahead to the NBA. Now, here's a name, even within our little group here, that's kind of divided opinions. Chase Buford. Now, I think he is phenomenal. I think youngest coach in NBL history to win a title. You know, down here, he's almost after that Game 2 outburst, public enemy #1. But for myself, I love it. I love that passion. Maybe the way it was kind of released, not ideal, but the energy he brings. And I know between us and even our partners, they've kind of weighed in on the debate. They hate seeing a coach wear a suit, but I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I think he has done awesome things to the franchise there.
He's got real Pat Riley mob boss energy about him, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah.
And the
Quinn
anger
Snyder,
as well.
yeah.
Everyone needs a villain. Like, every sport needs a villain. You go back to the early 2010s, you got LeBron. Then it rolls into KD. Now you got, Trey Young and a couple of smaller villains. But every sport needs a villain. And the fact that it's a coach that can then seep his villainy into the team, then the Kings are going to be hated because we're on top now. Like, you just can't help it. The narrative writes itself. So, no, I'm all for Chase.
Awesome.
The slick back hair, and then when he does get a little fiery, it goes out of place, and you're like, oh, something's going on here. It's going to happen. So, I'm all for Chase. He's a pretty good looking dude too. Like
that's what I thought. He's a good looking operator. 6'3" I saw. So he's not a man you'd probably want to mess with.
Pop on the jersey, Chase.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I did think that a few times. We're down a couple. I'll go out there, play 5 minutes. He'll be sweet. Chase. But he has to wear the jersey over the suit. He has to wear the suit out there and the jersey over the top.
Yep.
No, I love it, and just probably as I guess a pin in the NBL point, like. It has been a phenomenal year, and like we're probably over the next week or two going to do a bit of a more extensive recap. But like for us, we couldn't have asked for a better first season for the JackJumpers. Take nothing away, even going down in the 3-0 sweep, what they've achieved this season has been beyond our wildest dreams, and many pundits out there alike. So, congratulations to us, and congratulations to you guys and the Kings, because that run you guys pulled off, and the dominance and the way you guys have gone about winning each and every night has been, just a class above. So,
absolutely.
Yes, hell of a season.
Appreciate it, fellas. And I mean, it's always good news when it's not Perth or Melbourne.
Exactly right. Yeah,
always good news.
We can all rejoice in it not being Perth.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like, 35 years, it's time to step aside, I think. So we're certainly happy about that one there. Fellas, let's move ahead to the NBA.
The Daily Dribble.
Okay, now the action, as we said, it has been fast and furious now through the second round, nearly approaching the conference finals. With that in mind, fellas, who are you seeing as the winner at this point? Like everything you've seen so far, have you got any team that really sticks out? I think when we spoke last time on your pod there over at the Fifth and Dribble, I think we're all pretty on board with the Warriors for the most part.
Yeah, Warriors are definitely up there. But I mean, I personally, if you had asked me like a week ago, I would have said the Phoenix Suns because they have had some level of dominance about them all year that you just thought was going to roll over. But as soon as Chris Paul turned 37, he just fell off a cliff. Like the last 2 games, he's had a combined 37 points or something. Like it's been really tough to watch, and he's averaging close to 4 turnovers a game over the last 2 games as well. So I think that's where, and I mean, we said this on our pod as well. Like Luka can give you the business. Like he is just an absolute asshole when he wants to be, and he gets inside your head and goes for 50. And there's nothing that you can really do about it, right? But I think it does have to come out of the West. I mean, you look right now, Boston and Milwaukee, they're going toe-to-toe with each other. Miami is on a weird, sneaky level of dominance as well. But I just think the cream of the crop over in the West is better. And I think Locke might have a different opinion because he's a little bit of a Bucks faithful, whether he likes to admit it or not. He's a bit of a young
own it, Locke.
Yeah. I think the winner comes out of that Eastern Conference series between the Bucks and the Celtics. I think this is basically Miami is good, but I think this is the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think it's just sometimes it's like a heavyweight bout, right? Like they're just going up by 20, down by 20, up by 20, down by 20. And it's like these are the 2 best Eastern teams. Absolutely. And whoever manages to come out of there will probably take care of Miami.
Yeah.
And then the West teams haven't, like, we talked about obviously the Warriors and the Suns being the hot favorites, but it's like they've had tough times against teams they should beat. Like the Suns should beat this Dallas team pretty convincingly. Memphis should probably already have been taken care of, but they're just hanging around.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Boston Milwaukee series, it's like that makes sense to go to 7. Absolutely. So no one's really surprised that it's kind of going the way that it is.
Yep. Yeah. No, we kind of think similar. Lee, who's your pick in this one?
Old playoff series, I've had the Warriors, but lately they've been looking very shaky. I don't know what the point differential was that game, but it was a big loss.
They were down by like 55 points at
down by 55. I think they ended up going down 30 or something.
30
so you're right.
Stupid.
Grizzlies without Ja Morant as well. It's credit to Memphis Grizzlies for give it to him without Ja Morant, but
done it all season, haven't they? Without Ja, they've been a goddamn better team.
Yeah. It's the weirdest thing. Like you lose your best player and it doesn't matter. Like
it's unbelievable.
It kind of feels like it's more of a, Ja's obviously that focal point for that team when he's playing that they run through, but kind of feels like that load's more evenly distributed when he's not there. And, that sometimes bodes better for a team, as we've seen with the Grizzlies this season. But
yeah, they almost become, a slightly less predictable
more
team.
dimensions.
Yeah, they've got a bit more going on. They're still obviously one of the best teams in the league with Ja Morant. That goes without saying. But, when you take Ja Morant out, it opens up a hell of a lot more options for them, particularly on offense. So it's been strange, hasn't it?
I think back on the other, I think I'm kind of with you though, Locke, just on the title winner. I think I'm going to err on the Bucks side. I think the winner probably comes from that series, and I'll go the Bucks. They just look, they're doing it all without Middleton. And I just think Giannis, there is no good way
He's just a bad man, isn't he? He's just
a bad
man.
And you put you put it in a situation, if Golden State do go to the finals and the Bucks go there as well, Draymond Green's a hell of a good defender, but is he good enough to stop, Giannis? I don't know if
their size will eat them.
Yeah, I think we said this in our post last night, didn't we? Or one of the last few nights about Giannis. He's just probably the most unstoppable player in the league at the moment, and probably has been for some time when you think about it. But yeah, I'm the same. I think in the East, I don't see a world in which the Milwaukee Bucks don't come out.
They're down by 18 versus the Boston Celtics.
Are
right
they?
now.
Yeah, I was going to say they're doing it.
I did look at the score. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Slight readjustment.
So let's
reduction there.
take this back in the lab and we'll fix it.
As we say on Fifth and Dribble, stick to your takes. If you're going hard on the Bucks, stick to your gut, stick to your balls, stick to your takes.
Couldn't agree more. No, I think the Bucks are just going to be, even if the Celtics get up, I hope the Celtics get up. I'm a big Boston boy, but I think the Bucks will get up in that series.
Sitting there in your Tasmanian JackJumpers, big Celtics mighty.
Yes.
Did we talk about the Heat for a second? Are they going under the radar?
Well, what we might do real quickly, lads, because as all good things with running a podcast, there's always issues that arrive. We've encountered a little issue with Zoom that we're going to have to pause for 1 second, then restart the episode so we don't lose anything. So we're going to use that as our break, and we're going to be back in 2 minutes, guys.
The Daily Dribble.
As I was saying just before the pod went to shit, we reckon the Miami Heat are going under the radar a bit. Is it the fact that they're not getting as much media coverage, or what is it? Because they're playing some great ball.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? I tend to agree, though, because I think a lot of the attention is going to, both of those teams in the West. And then in the East, I think all eyes at the moment are on the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks being, the reigning champs, and Boston being, I guess, the best team in the second half of the year. So a lot of the attention's gone to them. But I tell you what, I would not in any universe count out this Miami Heat team. They've got all the pieces.
Jimmy Butler in this mode is a killer. Yeah. We've keep referring to that final series against the Lakers a couple of years ago down in the bubble when he was just in attack mode. Yeah. So reminiscent of that, and he just is a different animal.
It's just so weird seeing what he was in the regular season to this.
I know.
Like the regular season, I kind of thought maybe he might be washed. Who knows if he's got it? Like his 3-point shooting fell off a cliff, and then it's like, oh no, shit, he's like actually a top 3 guy again.
He's a bowler.
It's so weird, and I think your point with the media coverage is pretty fair. I think it hurts them they were the first seed for the regular season. Like if they were a 3rd or 4th seed, kind of surprising people, they'd get talked about a lot more. Yep. And it's like, I know most people probably predicted them to beat the Sixers.
Yep.
Yeah. I think most people kind of had, they'll get through and go to the Eastern Conference Finals, then we can start talking about them. But they dismantled Philly. I know Joel was out and James Harden was being James Harden, but it's like they just did everything to just destroy the Sixers.
Not only that, but they did it without Kyle Lowry. They did it with Gabe Vincent, running the show as well. Like who? Like fuck.
I know that whole team is just like, is this who are these people?
Nigeria's
like, are these NBA guys?
It's incredible.
Max Strus, Locke didn't know who Max Strus was before this season. So
I didn't. I'd never heard of him before. Now he's like about to play big minutes in the Eastern Conference.
Locke, I don't think you're the only one, mate. I reckon there would have been a lot of people out there who hadn't had a Strusy before.
Well, on Philly, what happens now with Philly? Like, is this, for the last couple of seasons, probably I guess the Jazz have been the West equivalent for me and probably for us, but in the East, they have just continued to underdeliver. Like, is this team ever going to win a title with the way, Joel currently is that number 1 guy? Are they ever going to win a title, do we reckon?
I don't know. I mean, I think the writing's a little bit on the wall. The same questions were asked about the Los Angeles Clippers for the last couple of years, and we move on from Doc, and we have one of the better runs,
Absolutely.
get as deep as we can in franchise
Seems
history.
like a trend.
Yeah.
And then,
Bring Doc in, you're in trouble.
yeah, and then this year with no All Stars, we still make the play in, and I don't want to get too nitty gritty with it. I'm still sore, but
you do want to talk Clippers, Matty. You may as well.
I always want to talk Clippers, but I don't want to talk losing. To
Don't encourage him, Nick. Don't encourage him.
The New Orleans Pelicans. Locke always puts a timer on me when I talk Cowboys and Clippers. So yeah, but no, I think the theme is happening, and surely that guy that was 3 rows back that kept taking the selfie and was that meme of Doc still not drawing up plays. Like surely, like you saw the level of expression from Tyrese Maxey. All I can think is James Harden was sitting there saying, "Give me the ball," and Reese is like, "Bro, you are 2 for 17. What do you mean give you the fucking ball? Like, come on." So it's tough. There's obviously like a disconnect in the locker room. I wouldn't say blow it up, but I mean, if you can move off James Harden, maybe move off James Harden. He may have to go back to his OKC 6-man days. That may be the play.
Well, I reckon that's not a bad shout at all, Matty. Just for that fact, like he looks, a shell of the player. It's ridiculous to think, an all-time one of the greatest scorers in the 21st century, and he has just gone missing, like time and time again. It's a shame if you're a Philly, like we know a couple of Philly fans, and the hype surrounding this team, especially at that acquisition of Harden, like it has been nothing but a letdown. They thought they were going straight to the promised land, lock it in. The way Embiid was playing, Maxey coming on, Harden, like the pieces were there ready to be in motion for a championship victory. And
I definitely drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
I definitely was
as
into
most
it. I drank the Kool-Aid. I thought it was on, but this Harden fall off is like, it's a difference between the greats and the all-time greats, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like the greats fall off, the all-time greats find a way to keep being great.
Absolutely.
And it's like, it's been so strange. And I know you said to move off him, Matt, but how the fuck do you move off him? What do you do with him?
Well, it's crazy when you look at that team, their roster construction in terms of salary. You've got James Harden, and then he's kind of endeared himself a little bit to us over the last couple of months at times, but that contract of Tobias Harris as well, like that guy is nothing but
a low-level Tobias over me. You chose Tobias over me.
That was so good.
That's his mentality. He's a killer, Jimmy. Like they mucked up big on that move. They mucked up big.
They really did. And just briefly on James Harden, still the fall off I can see is like a la Allen Iverson, like earlier in the early 2000s when he goes to Denver and you see, Melo's there and there's a young hoppy J.R. Smith and there's all this buzz around it. And, AI can still go out and give you 25, 30 at that point, but he's not doing it. Like it's very sporadic. It's once a month. It's where are we going to find the offense now that we've got this isolation guy that's not getting the calls? Like the more you unpack it, the more parallel you get to it. And, what ended up happening with them? He went to Detroit and we never heard from him again. So maybe James needs to go to Detroit. Cade might need some help. You never know.
Jesus, how toxic could that get?
Very quickly.
And how many nightclubs are in Detroit? I don't.
Not very many.
That many. No. So let's rule that one out.
Yeah, true. I didn't think of the nightclub to person ratio. Honeys to person ratio.
That's what James Harden's always thinking about. That next steps.
Playing chess while we play checkers.
Right, that's it.
Now, fellas, I guess like this is the NBA Finals. It's a time where legends are made, and a guy who we might almost be underappreciating his greatness. It feels like there was almost the overhype period. Now he's kind of almost nearly underrated. Steph Curry. Kind of just been thinking about him lately. Now, if this Warriors team, if they're poised to get another championship, possibly, they're one of probably the bookies' favorites at the moment. If the Warriors win another title and Steph, hypothetically clinches finals MVP.
Elusive finals MVP.
That elusive finals MVP. Does he start looking at like slowly erring his way into that top 10 of all time? You can see it when his career's done.
Hold on. Do you not have him there already?
Well,
are you telling me you don't?
I reckon I do. I do in mine. I'd have to go through a full list, but I've read quite a lot of articles and spoken to a few people this week, and they're like, he's an all-time talent, no doubt about it. But they were rattling off a list of top 10, your Birds, your Jordans, LeBron, Kobe.
All to be there, though. Like, the narrative alone.
That's what sparked it for me. Like, I reckon you've got the greatest shooter of all time, and he's going to finish there by a country mile.
Yeah.
he has revolutionized the game and just altered it for history, the way it's played.
Yeah, I might be a little biased because I'm a little guard with a couple of knee injuries. Like I feel him. Okay, like you got to learn to shoot and you got to learn to shoot well. But
absolutely,
he's got to be in the top 10. Like he's always in top 3 point guard conversations. Like I know we've had some dominant big men and dominant forwards in our time, but the way that he has revolutionized the game, like Jordan revolutionized it with the two-way player and the mid-range game. Like Kobe tried to emulate that. You're going to see all these young kids come through now. Like even Trae Young to a point is trying to be the next Steph Curry. So I just think that the way that he has become not only a household name, but a global sensation, he's got to be
like Jordan. And
exactly. He's got to be in that conversation of top 10. And if he gets this championship now without Kevin Durant and gets the finals MVP, you know, you're talking Mount Rushmore stuff, I think. I think you're getting up into that upper echelon of if you're building your best starting 5, you know, maybe he's knocking on Magic's door. And I know that Lachlan's going to cringe a little bit at that because he loves a big man that can pass the ball.
Love Magic.
As Lockie's eyes start to twitch a little bit.
Yeah, I did. Had a little seizure then, but we'll carry on.
It's there, though. It's there. It's got the writings on the wall, I think.
Top 10, Lock. What do you reckon, mate?
I think Steph's career is going to be looked at with a lot more fondness in like 10, 15 years. Not that it already isn't. I think he's going to be one where we really look back and we go, okay, fuck yeah. I think we missed this one. Like not missed, but in terms of like how big of an influence he really is. And he'll shoot up when they do that next, because they did the 75 year, this one, when they do the 100 one, he's going to shoot right up the rankings on that one. I think that'll be enough time separated for us to say there was a pre-Steph NBA and there's a post-Steph NBA and what he's done. And it's so weird he hasn't got a finals MVP. It's so strange.
It's so odd, isn't it?
And I kind of want him to get one, so that's not... Because, you know, someone will use it as some argument in the future.
You use it. You're the one that uses it. I know that it's you.
Yeah, I feel like Kyrie just then, but whose fault is this? Yeah, me. But I mean, it's
he does need it, doesn't he? Just on
he does need it just to get him one. Even if he gets one, that's like one of those, you know, when someone wins an Oscar and it's like they don't really deserve it, but they just have never got one before. Even if they just give him a Finals MVP like that, like, hey, you've been in so many, you haven't won one, you can just have this one. Like if they win this one, he'll probably get it by default. Like it's
for sure.
There's no one else really on that team to take the votes from him.
Jordan Poole, what?
All-Star Wiggins, what?
Imagine he wins Finals MVP, but not Most Improved Jordan Poole. That would be insane.
That would be insane. But you know, if we're touching on narrative and the NBA loves narrative, you're right, Locke. It would have to go to. They'd have to go to Steph. I mean, Draymond's playing out of his mind and loves to kick guys in the nuts and pull people down and whatever he likes to do, but they don't have a nut kicking trophy. So it would, Steph's the guy, and let's just hope that he gets there. Let's hope.
Likewise for us, fellas. Do you feel the same way, Luke?
With the top 10 conversation, I don't know if it's the youth in me, but I have trouble talking about it because we weren't there for the 70s, 80s, and 90s. What's happened here? Sorry, the computer.
Here we
weren't there for the 70s, 80s, 90s. We weren't there for the Larry Bird. We weren't there for the Magic Johnson. We weren't there even for the Jordan. So I couldn't tell you if he's creeping into my top 10 because, to be fair, I don't know my top 10. I don't like speaking on it with confidence without being in that time frame. But I can speak to, if he wins this Finals MVP, this will add to his legacy of revolutionizing the game. And I feel confident in saying that he'd be up there maybe as that greatest point guard of all time. But
over Magic.
I hate speaking on top 10, to be honest, because I wasn't there.
Yeah. No, we love it.
Can only go
I agree with the top 10. When we do our rankings, we kind of do it in tiers rather than
like a tier guy.
In straight number, because it's so arbitrary, right? Like, I mean, as you said, like we weren't there for the 70s, 80s. I don't know. It's hard, right? And I mean,
that's a coward's way out, mate.
It is a coward. Right, he's a Panthers fan. What do you expect? He's a coward.
I mean, it's hard to, like, if you put any of the stars in the game now, back then, they would be even bigger. I mean, it's just a fact, right? Like, anyone that argues against it is like either 60 years old or a fool, right? Like, it's and I mean, so it's hard. So you kind of have to rank them in terms of like comparison to everyone at the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's just easy. You've got kind of like the top tier and have them there and then kind of the next tier behind. But I don't know how many numbers would be in that top tier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All of them are top tier players. You can look to like top 20, top 30. They're just great players. I hate having to
But it
rank
sounds like
them.
the participation award though at school, like it's the shit kickers award.
Whatever.
We're getting
I mean,
PC up in here right now. We're getting real politically correct.
if you're not
everyone
first,
gets a participation award.
Second's just the first loser, isn't it?
Has
Yes, Nick,
cancel
you're my
cancel
guy.
culture ruined rankings? That's
Oh,
the hot topic.
it might have done.
That might be a greater topic.
That's a topic for another day, mate.
That's and for another show. I think.
I tell you what, well, like this season in the NBA, it's been like electric, no doubt. But I guess just to kind of wrap up, and one question looking ahead to next year, because it's no doubt every year gets bigger and better.
Yep.
Early on, without seeing any trades, anything that might happen, which is one team you're looking forward to seeing?
Clippers.
Yeah,
Clippers. Clippers.
Let us finish the question, Matty.
No. I've seen the run sheet. Clippers.
Hey,
Come on.
I will say as much as I almost don't want to say it, the Clippers are going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because it's almost, the way that team has elevated their game without Paul George, without Kawhi, what they've been able to do, like you integrate them back into the fold, they are poised, primed and ready to go, I reckon, to really, make Stevie Ballmer proud.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're talking bandwagons earlier. If you want to jump on the Clippers bandwagon whenever you feel appropriate, go ahead. It's been nice living on this train for a while. I did jump from the Warriors to the Clippers in my earlier days, so that was a bit of a faux pas on my part. But
In like 2013, just before they got good too. He's
just
dirty.
before they got good.
He's dirty.
It was 2012 when Blake Griffin actually started to take to the court. So it was it was tough. But look.
Well, things are looking up for you now, Matty.
The things are looking up. I went through the hard yards, went through the 30-win seasons with Chris Kaman, and now we're out here. We're out here with Kawhi Leonard. All right, so it's a little red hot with some of the shit that he does or does not say to the organization. But the Clippers, watch out. That's all I can say. 2023, 2022, 2023, watch out. Everybody, all the analysts all year were saying if the Clippers get Kawhi back for the playoffs, if they get half of what Paul George is, you got to remember, he was coming off elbow surgery and then came out and gave us 35 a game, 4 or 5 games straight. And the one game that we needed him to show up in the Pellies game, he had no more gas. And you have to relate to that because he's been out for 3 months at that point and just stuffed. So, but as you're saying, Nick, to the growth of Reggie Jackson, the Nard dog.
We love the Nard dog.
Love the Nard dog. A white guy that can shoot. He speaks my spiritual language. Okay.
Waving the flag.
The fact that Doc isn't there either, Ty Lue is a dog. We were talking about how he should be smoking for Coach of the Year. Didn't even finish top 3. That's a bit sacrilegious in my regard. But
locked up Rob Covington again as well.
Yeah.
Bobby there.
Yeah. Norman Powell,
Norman
Powell.
Powell.
Little guys like that, just
You
all
got
the way
right
through
pieces
the
to
roster.
compliment Kawhi and Paul George now.
Exactly. 1 through 11, we are scary. If we get even half of a backup center, if we still had Serge Ibaka that could run that backup power forward or backup center, I would give us the Larry O'Brien straight away. And that's not it. I know that sounds arrogant, but that would be the most well-rounded team I have seen in my life. And that is scary to think.
You have to account for the Clippers curse.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Don't at me. Nah,
Glad someone
get out of
mentioned
here
it,
with
Lockie.
your I just follow basketball.
Exactly.
I don't have a team.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm into the sport.
Well, Locke, what have you got there, mate?
I'm going for a team that was my favorite to watch in the playoffs and probably up there for most people. New Orleans.
Yeah.
They were so fun to watch.
Yep.
They were nice and they just came out of nowhere and gave the Suns the business. And adding Zion to this team next year is going to be so fun. I don't know how they really play him. I reckon they should just have him do the Larry Nance stuff, but just way more efficient. But they're just going to be fun next year in the West.
I agree. That's a skit. What CJ did once he came into the fold.
That was a big game changer, wasn't it?
Transformed the team. And if you get Zion back, looking fit, looking fresh, looking reinvigorated, hopefully he feels a little more upbeat given the way this team's trajectory is heading now.
And I
they're
think
going to be a fun watch.
I think that's massive too, the way they went out of the playoffs the way they did. Like if they got swept and got killed, Zion's like, really, what am I doing here? But it's like they played well. And I saw one report that if they went to game 7, he was going to play. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
All right,
But
Ben
it's
Simmons.
like, but I mean, he was throwing down windmill dunks while he's in rehab. So, I mean, he must be
he's
doing
got to turn
all right.
it down a little bit.
I know, but I mean, they're going to be so fun next year. They're playing with house money, and they'll probably play with house money again for one more year.
Yep.
So why not go crazy with it? Run fast, run hard, and take those big guys on.
Well, before we get to you guys, I have one slight rebuttal for that. We said this. Well, analysts said this about the Kings after they came out and ran that 7 seconds or less offense and almost made the playoffs because they were catching people off guard. Yep. Could it be that New Orleans are just doing that currently? And I mean, we weren't expecting things like from Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado and stuff like that. Now people are going to have to game plan for them.
Exactly.
They're less, they're going to be on guard. So
it does come into it, doesn't it? That surprise factor is huge. And now that that's starting to probably waver, people will strategize for what they're putting out now. So it does come into it, absolutely. But can you play? It's kind of like Giannis. Can you plan for a guy like Zion?
You can't. And I think that's the big key. Like, even if you plan for guys like Alvarado, who I think will probably regress a little bit next year, and Herb Jones looks like he's going to keep going the way he is, right? Like, the skills that he has translate so well to the NBA. And Zion, when he played, 25 points on 70% shooting. Like, that's insane.
Scary.
It's
scary.
I don't know how you
I guess so. I just don't want you to be right. That's my main thing.
I know that's what it is.
You don't need that at all. Lee, what have you got, mate?
I've said it for a while. I've got the Timberwolves. I'm so excited for them next year. I think this year was kind of the first year that they kind of started piecing things together. They started working as a team a bit more. And I don't want to be that guy, but I think it was somewhat a contributing factor of Pat Bev coming there. He just brings that culture, and he brought that dog in them together.
Clippers culture, baby. I'm telling you.
I've said it before. I just think they need to play a bit more smarter ball. They're a bit dumb. So if they get that under wraps, I
think with the Timberwolves that comes with maturity as well. I think they've still got a few players who are quite young, and in any professional sporting league, it takes a little while to click and a little while to mature and gel as a team. So I actually like that one, and I think it's probably on the horizon that they're going to be a real legitimate problem in that Western Conference.
We'll follow on row with yours, mate.
Yeah, look, I'm with you, Lockie. I'm really looking forward to the Pelicans next season. I know. I know Zion's the main one, but we've already seen signs this year of what we can expect going forward, and adding someone like potentially, if you can get on top of his injury issues, a once in a generation type player in Zion Williamson into that lineup. It's going to be incredible viewing. Now, I don't know if that necessarily translates to a top 4 finish, top 5, 6 finish. I'm not 100% sold on that at the moment, but just in terms of
Vicky's there, wow,
You see it with Memphis though. You can go from on the fringe of the playoffs
exactly right,
to a top 4 pretty quick. Yeah,
and to rule them out of a top 4 or 5, 6 finish. Like, I don't think you can necessarily do that based off what we've seen in the NBA over the last few seasons. And again, like the Memphis Grizzlies, like we've seen a lot from them this year, which has been really exciting, but they're still a young team and they've still got so much upside. So they're a team over the next few years who I'm, really looking forward to watching.
Well, I'm gonna go with mine, and I'm gonna give you a team that I don't think anyone's thought about for quite a few months now. I'm gonna go the Indiana Pacers. Now, this is
wow.
Going left.
Stop the show. Stop the show. Cancel it here.
Pack her
Stop the
up.
show. Nick's lost his mind.
Well, this is a team I've been holding on to hope for probably the last season or season and a half, 2 seasons, because we've just not seen them at their full strength. What TJ Warren displayed down in the bubble, it was like, oh shit, this guy's a handful. Him and Donovan Mitchell just putting up buckets. It's like, all right, let's get it here.
That was 2 years ago.
I was. So, but I'm holding on to that hope that the Pacers, Miles Turner now, we got rid of Sabonis. Halliburton, I think, is an absolute pig. Like, he's a baller and going to do big things. Buddy Hield now. Like, I think if you can get TJ back, Brogdon, Turner, whether they run with that or look to offload a couple of pieces, I'm just looking forward to seeing them hopefully reach their potential, because due to injuries and things of the kind, they've fallen flat.
To be excited for a team, they need to have a sense of direction. What is their sense of direction? Because I'm not sure.
Well, my sense of direction for them is, I think we might have touched on them a couple of weeks ago. Maybe, did we? Is I reckon, depending on how they start, is what is going to impact it. If they start well and it all clicks together, the pieces they've got, see what they can do. Test the waters.
Yeah.
If after the first couple of weeks it's not fitting, chemistry's low, the losses are mounting up, right, then you start to offload, see what you can get for Turner, for whatever else is going. But I'm just excited to see what they can do given a chance with hopefully a pretty healthy lineup.
And they've got so many smart players like TJ Warren, Brogdon, and Halliburton. Even Turner, like they've just got high basketball IQ. They might not be.
Bonus will flourish as well.
I think so too. And we're massive Lance Stevenson guys. So anything that gets him
Absolutely.
more in the frame is like,
get it
better.
going.
Keep it going.
Just jumping the hairy banjo.
Yeah,
Love that.
No, so there you go. A little left field one there.
I like that one.
Boys, you need to make sure that you've got a home ready for Nick when he does go senile. Okay, we're starting to see the cracks now, but
early
we might have
signs.
to get it in the
just
works.
get him on speed dial.
There's our next carton wager. Pacers in the playoffs.
Oh, early.
Yeah.
I will take no on that comfortably.
Yeah, we'll go against you on that if you're confident on the Pacers.
You're
We'll
going
lock it in.
on your own.
How about the off season? See what they do.
We'll see the off season first, then we'll see how we go.
I just want you lads down here, business class. Let's spare no expense.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. That's what we're going to start calling it. No more carton wages. They are flight wages.
Flight wages, absolutely. Lads, we've absolutely loved having you on today. It has been a blast. We can't thank you enough. As we said, it's been a little while in the works now. But it's awesome to have you guys on. For anyone out there, where can they find you guys?
They can find us where they find all good things, at Fifth and Dribble, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. They find us on the cover. We're all cover boys. So
we're all cover boys. Big
Proudly.
shout out to our man Liam McGrath there, doing big things for all of us.
Yeah.
His guidance and tutelage has been nothing but advantageous.
Yeah, it's been absolutely
I
great.
reckon
And
he
yeah,
would've-
just want to say a quick thank you to you boys for having us as well. We had an absolute
problem.
blast,
That's great.
and would love to let's tease out a little maybe monthly get together for the Baller Boys, huh?
Want to do it.
Yep, I like
Absolutely.
that.
Something like that.
Our very own book club. I like that.
Yes,
Sounds
book
good.
club.
I don't know
Yes.
if you boys can read, but we can't. So I don't know how that book club.
We're
I don't know how
still
good
trying
the
to
book
master
club
We're in the
is.
same
Wally,
boat.
no worries.
As long as their picture books will be all right.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
Get War and Peace happening instead.
Yeah, lovely.
Getting real deep into it.
Lads, it has been an absolute privilege to have you on. Matty and Locke, guys, be sure to check them out, doing phenomenal things in the NBA and NRL space. We've loved talking to you today. From myself, Rowan Lee, guys, we've got big things coming this week as we break down the NBL conference finals. Till next week, though. Love you, bye.
NBA.
Goodbye.